folks, friends. Today we're going to be looking at this Presto EverSharp knife sharpener. Now I don't know where I got this one, it just happened to show up, but I know I didn't purchase it. And I'm going to show you a reason why I don't purchase this kind of knife sharpener. But anyway, I have it now, so we're going to just go over it and see what it's about. It's missing two of the, no it's not either, it's got three rubber feet on bottom so you can stick it to your countertop so it doesn't slide. But right now we just have it sitting on a towel on top of a table, sitting on the back porch. And if you hear some panning coming by, we have Joe right here going back and forth, going in and out the back door. So, Presto EverSharp electric knife sharpener. I don't know the model number. It's not written on the bottom. Well, it might be. There's a little bit of writing down there, but it is made in China. Caution, read instructions for operation, household use only. Handcrafted to make it first. Whatever that means. Anyway, it feels like a pretty steady unit. I don't think it'll slide on the countertop at all, but we don't have it on the counter. Okay, this one has, they're not ceramic, they're not diamond, they're just regular grinding wheels in there. There's looks like two of them, a coarse and a fine. Coarse is labeled number 1, fine is labeled number 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and guess, because I don't have the manual or it's not stamped on there anywhere or embossed. I'm just going to go ahead and say it's a 20-degree angle sharpener. Angle. So we got a couple of knives right here. We're going to come back to this one here in a minute. We're going to start with this one right here. This is a utility knife. Picked it up at a yard sale. When I say cheap knives at a yard sale, I always pick them up for $1 or so, just for this type reason. You're doing little demos. Now, you'll notice on this knife right here, the cutting edge does not go all the way to the handle. And this one it does. Let's see if I can get a closer up on that. So this one does not come all the way to the end, and this one does. I'm going to show you how important that is later on using this knife sharpener. Okay, on and off switch on the front. Has a little bit of vibration, not a whole lot. I'm going to guess and say, I'm going to test it with this. The cutting wheel is probably at least 1/4 of an inch on the inside of the housing of this unit. So, looking at this knife, since it has the, I'm just going to call it a guard right here, so you can put your finger all the way against it, such as this right there. I'm just going to call that a finger guard for now. This one, it's not as good, but it does work. But you can see the difference in those two edges right there. Anyway, this one will not go all the way in to the sharpener. So the cutting edge from the wheel is going to be somewhere around this mark. This one will go all the way, but this one's going to be left about a 1/4 inch away. Better explain that. Let's do this. I brought a piece of paper out here. Use this. Okay. We're going to say this is the bottom of the machine, and it kind of comes up similar to this. Something like that. And the cutting wheel is something like this on the inside. So the one without the guard will easily go all the way in. So you can go to the end and then you pull it back. This one that has the guard, it will only go in as far as the housing will allow it, which will be such as to right there. So you can see how much of the is not going to be sharpened on this knife, as to this one it will be able to go all the way in. Hope I explained that well. If I didn't, let me know, and I'll make another short of this. Here's Joe right here. Joe, I bet they can hear you, but they can't see you. Okay. Now I don't know the grit on these two wheels, but this is your coarse and this is your fine, and we're going to start with this knife. Push these aside, and to show you that it is dull, I'm just going to take this old cracked cutting board, just do this a few times on it. I don't know what kind of wood this is. Doesn't really matter. There we go. So that's going to be pretty dull. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to start here, this one first. Go to this one. We're going to sweep it 4 or 5 times on each side. Even putting a little bit of pressure, very minimal pressure, I'm pushing down. It wants to bog down the motor. So I'm just basically now just holding it in place and letting it sit at its own weight in there and pulling it back. And as you pull back, you'll see this curve in the knife. You want to follow the contour of the blade and not just pull flat back. See there? Okay, let's go over to the fine side. Again, we're not going to push down on it, just let the weight of the knife do its job. There we go. Now I can feel that it's sharper than it was, a lot sharper than it was. The tip is not sharp. I didn't do a good job on the tip. There. Okay, let's see if it'll cut a piece of paper. It's more or less pulling it and cutting it. But it is sharper. Y'all saw me drag it across that cutting board. Let's give it a few more strokes on here. Heard that. Bogging down that motor. Okay, let's try that again. That's a little bit better than what it was a minute ago. It'll definitely sharp enough to cut a tomato. So, I believe that these will cost around $30 or so, somewhere in that range. Don't quote me on that. You might find it for $5 at a yard sale or a flea market. Or it might cost $50 now. I'm not quite sure. But the reason I don't like this style, well, one of the reasons is I don't like having the wheel or the stone or whatever you're sharpening with to have power over the knife you're using. I'd rather the stone be flat or whatever you're using this method or using this method, whatever it takes to sharpen it. I have both of that methods. I'd rather be in charge of the stone and using that manually than having the stone be in charge of the knife, if that makes sense. That's my personal preference. Okay, let's look at this. Let's see what this will happens to this. You can see how beat up this thing is. How messed up. Let's do this. You can see how much of a how well this has been taken care of. How many times it's been sharpened. But let's take this. I'm going to show you what happens if you put too much pressure on it. Well, you can't really put too much pressure with this one because it's going to bog down, but if you do and leave it in one spot, let's just use, I'm going to use the back of the blade. No, let's use the tip. Well, let's go back there. We're going to go right here. Let's see what happens. Hear that? This is what happens with this type of cutting disc. you can see right here there's like a little divot in the blade now where I just held it in place. Maybe you can't see that, maybe you can, I'm not sure. Let me use my hand, see if this works any better. Not really. But right here you can feel the little divot where I just held it in place at one place. Anyway, that is another reason why I don't like this type of knife sharpener. But some people prefer them. It's all personal preference, really. Now for the average homeowner, I believe this will work for the person that's going to be using their knife quite frequently on different types of meats and vegetables and whatever you want to cut with it. I prefer the other style of knife sharpener where you control the stone instead of the stone controls you. So I don't think you can go wrong with this thing. It's not my favorite, like I said, but I like it better than this other one I have right here, the Chef's Choice 110 model. It is better than this one. Still not great, but to each their own. Whatever you like, whatever works for you is what works for you. My name is Carl, and I do appreciate you watching.